What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Truth and transparency, baby. I'm in the best mood ever. Don't worry, you're going to find out soon. Again, welcome back to Truth and Transparency. My name is Lana, and I will be your host today, as always. This is an Idaho4 special. Good morning. It's nice 9:30 a.m. here, East Coast time. And we're going to take us back. Let's go back to Kohberger's phone. We're going to talk about the chain of custody in Brian Kohberger's phone. We're also going to talk about some relevant material that has to do with, this big leak, statements that were made throughout the investigation, work product that was produced throughout the investigation, and as well as search warrants that actually surround the phone as well. But in order to talk about all of this, okay, we have to make sure everybody understands this very clearly. Brian Kohberger was arrested in Pennsylvania, okay? Brian Kohberger's phone, okay, was seized in Pennsylvania. The FBI had his phone, kept his phone. Okay. Now, I wanted to specifically understand the role of Jeffrey Tanzola. And not only did I want to specifically understand his role in this Brian Kohberger case, but what it truly is that he does, where he does it, because it's all going to matter. As you guys know, I'm following the Shanna Gardner case as well, and very similar motions to suppress in the Brian Kohberger case happened in the Shanna Gardner case. Okay. And so my work that I did yesterday in prepping for this live, I'm going to share some stuff with you. Now, let's see. We're going to take us back to a report that Detective Mauy filled out. Okay. And then we're going to come back to that screen. This was written by Detective Mauy, and he wrote it on 1/10/2023. He's saying that on December 29th, based on the above information, the Latah County Court signed an order of probable cause. Great. Now, on December 29th, Brian Kohberger was arrested at his family's home. That same day, a Pennsylvania magistrate signed a search warrant for the residence, which included Brian Kohberger's cell phone. Now, there is a difference between a search warrant to seize an item and then a search warrant that allows you to seize an item, okay, and then also search it. Now, it is no big secret that the material on Brian Kohberger's phone made its way onto Dateline. Well, we're going to talk about this. So the chain of custody is a really big thing, and it's a real big thing when you're talking about the FBI, and it's a really, really, really big thing when you're going to be talking about the Philadelphia, where Jeffrey works. And I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to break it all down here, but the Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory, which now Jeffrey Tanzola is heading that. Jeffrey Tanzola, in his capacity, he is the director of the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory, PHRCFL. Okay. They're obviously just redacting where it's located. The phone data was extracted. Okay. Was extracted by FBI Special Agent Jeffrey Tanzola subsequent to the warrant being served. Okay. And what that means is subsequent to the warrant being served the warrant, got his phone, took it back to the lab, and then without a search warrant, because it was just for the seizure of it, without a search warrant, Jeffrey extracts it. That means downloading the material. Now, we are going to outline what that exactly means. Okay. Here we go. The defense team for Brian Kohberger filed a motion to suppress cell phone data. They raised several arguments regarding the exact timing of when FBI Special Agent Jeffrey Tanzula extracted the data from Kohberger's phone versus when the search warrant actually permitted the action. Okay. Now, the defense's argument is it was premature extraction. The specific accusation, the defense argued that the data on Brian Kohberger's physical cell phone had already been extracted by the FBI in Pennsylvania prior to proper judicial authorization, meaning you were only supposed to seize his cell phone. This is the timeline discrepancy is that Kohberger's phone was seized during the initial raid on his parents' Pennsylvania home on December 30th, 2022. The specific warrant targeted by the motion, the Moscow Police Forensic Lab search warrant, was not officially dated and signed until January 9th, 2023. The USB drive evidence, okay? The defense record showed that Agent Tanzula cloned the full contents of the phone onto the Seagate 2 terabit external USB drive, logged as Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory Evidence Item 43447. The defense claimed that because the extraction occurred at the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory, the data was illegally cloned before the corresponding Idaho search warrant gave legal permission to look inside the device. Now, I looked up the protocols because they have strict protocols with this lab. And ultimately, so I want to read. Okay. All right. When the FBI and the Pennsylvania State Police raided Kohberger's parents' home, okay, they executed a localized warrant to seize his active cellular device. Remember when they put in the warrant where they were like, we have permission to use his face to put the phone in front of it, to use his hand to like swipe stuff, to be able to get into biometrics into Brian Kohberger's phone. So the unsealed Pennsylvania search warrant contained highly aggressive pre-authorized clauses allowing agents to use compelled biometric unlocking techniques. This legally permitted officers to hold the phone up to Kohberger's face for facial recognition or force a finger swipe to bypass the lock screen using his fingerprint immediately upon arrest. What was gathered once bypassed, examiners extracted phone use files, application logs, and notably saved screenshots and pictures of local news coverage related to the Moscow, Idaho case. This is all what came from them doing this. Now, I then went one step further and said, okay, technically, how is this not a search? Okay. And this is what Mauy testified to, but he couldn't possibly have personal knowledge of this. Meaning, were you in Idaho? I mean, were you in Pennsylvania when the arrest happened? No. Were you with Jeffrey Tanzola when he was dealing with Brian Kohberger's phone? No. Okay. So, therefore, when Mauy testifies saying that I received, like he says here in his report, that nobody had gotten into his phone, that after when it says the phone data was extracted by the FBI, on January 9th, I received a hard drive from Tanzola. She asked a very specific question. How did you receive that? Was it mailed? Was it handed to you? How did you receive that? And just so we're clear, 2 different answers have been provided. Was that mailed to you? Was that hand delivered? So again, I received, see how it says, I received a hard drive from SSA Tanzola, which contained a copy of the data extracted from the phone belonging to Kohberger. The data is saved on this 2 terabit external USB drive with serial number, and I just told you guys the number. How about that? And is labeled as Philadelphia RCFL evidence 43447. I applied for and was granted a warrant seeking the evidence from the hard drive. And so this would be the question is why are you needing to seek a search warrant now to actually physically get in to the hard drive? The hard drive is just a clone of Brian Kohberger's phone. It's a copy. And so I said, I want to know what they do over here at this lab. Like what is the protocol for them? So he goes and seeks a search warrant to be able to get into the hard drive provided by Pennsylvania, which contains a forensic image of Brian Kohberger's phone, which was stored in the secure computer forensics lab at the Moscow Police Department. And this is when he is asked about, what's this key? Like, what are you talking about? This key that you're, and that's when he was like, the key to the locked door to that forensic lab. Okay, Mauy. Great. So can you say that one more time? On an external USB hard drive, Brian Kohberger's phone contents, an image, a forensic image, was stored in on this USB external hard drive. How many copies of that was sent everywhere? And to who? Because wait for this. At, 3:50 on January 9th, I served the warrant on the hard drive located in the forensic lab. Pursuant to the warrant, I downloaded the files to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. I completed the warrant return, receipt, and affidavit. These documents were then sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I began examining the data for any accounts linked to the phone and Kohberger with other electronic service providers, such as Facebook, Snap, all this stuff. Then he located all of these. He's saying that he located these basically like app on his phone. Then he says that these electronic service providers may be storing data relevant to the investigation, which may have been deleted from the device. So I will begin requesting assistance from the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to start applying for these warrants to these, third-party companies here for any data from accounts related to the following identifiers located in the phone data. And do you see those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different redacted items? Okay. Maury was asked, where'd you get those emails from? Where'd you get any of this information from? Who did you get this information from? That there would be this email address, this DeSales email address. Where'd you get this material from? And this is where Bill Thompson got fucking red as can be. Where'd you get this information from? So, according to Maury, the FBI just extracted and put in a hard drive. Here you go. Here's then an image of Brian Kohberger's phone. So when you opened up this hard drive and you plugged it in, what were you seeing? Did you have to then take the unreadable material and actually transfer it into readable material and have it all organized in file folders? Who did all of that? So from December 29th to January 9th, okay, nobody is supposed to be able to had got into his phone because there was only a search warrant to seize the material. Okay. Dateline comes out with their first ever episode with the Brian Kohberger case, January 13th, 2023. Keep that in mind. Now, back this up. And I'm going to read now how I said, I want to know everything to do about this lab. So okay, so I pull up, I wanted to know everything about PHRCFL, okay? And so this is what I did. This is their policy. To ensure that evidence is legally admissible in federal and state courts, the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory, PHRCFL, strictly enforces a rigorous intake process. Any break in the chain of custody or lack of legal authority will result in the immediate rejection of the submission. Mandatory submission documentation. Number 1, PHRCFL online service request. So obviously here you have, this is Moscow's baby. Okay, they're the lead. The FBI is only assisting, Idaho State assisting, every other agency that you can say that it was involved in this case, just assisting. Okay. The submitting law enforcement agency must formally request assistance by completing the online request form detailing the specific technical help required. Number 1. Where is that? I built one of the most comprehensive FOIA requests here that I'm filing off today. Last night, I did another comprehensive FOIA, and I'll share that with you. Number 2, proof of legal authority. This is the most critical document. Investigators must upload an uploaded digital copy of the legal instrument authorizing the search. This must be one of the following: the search warrant, which is obviously the authorized warrant specifically naming the digital devices, the target accounts, or data storage media to be searched. Content to search form, or a signed voluntary consent form, which that wasn't there, and the grand jury subpoena / court order. Specific legal orders compelling the production or extraction of corporate or third-party data records. I'm guessing what they went with the search warrant, right? But we could be wrong. Then a formal signed copy of the inventory receipt generated at the time of the raid or arrest, proving the device was lawfully seized and logged into police custody. Chain of custody log, a comprehensive document tracking every single human hand that has touched, moved, or stored the physical device from the exact moment of seizure up to its presentation at the lab window. Scope and execution limitations. The search warrant or legal authority must precisely dictate what the examiner is allowed to look for. If a warrant specifies a search for financial fraud documents, an examiner cannot legally browse or document unrelated files without obtaining a secondary amended warrant. Device status verification. The submitting officer must document the exact physical condition of the device upon intake. Damaged screen, powered on off, SIM card present, to prevent claims that the laboratory altered or damaged the evidence during the extraction process. If a submitting agency possesses only a warrant to seize the device, but lacks explicit authorization to search its contents, the PHRCFL will legally freeze the hardware in place, but cannot extract or view any personal data. Want me to read that again? If a submitting agency possesses only a warrant to seize the device, but lacks explicit authorization to search its contents, the PHRCFL will legally freeze the hardware in place, but cannot extract or view any personal data. Under federal law established by the Supreme Court case Riley versus California, and I said to myself, Riley versus California, I think Ann Taylor talked about that case. If she did not, and I'm thinking of Shanna Gardner's case, or potentially another case. But the Riley, California case is a seizure warrant and a search warrant are two entirely separate legal permissions. Okay? What the lab can and cannot do with a seizure-only warrant. Physical retention only. The lab can legally accept the physical smartphone or computer into its evidence vault to ensure it is not altered, destroyed, or lost. Signal isolation is allowed. Technicians can immediately power down the phone or place it directly into a signal blocking Faraday bag to prevent a remote network wipe. Like if you can do something remotely to crash your own, phone. No extraction software. Examiners cannot hook the device up to Celebrite UFED, extract software or diagnose tools to bypass passwords or copy user. Did you guys hear that? No file browsing. Investigators are prohibited from manually powering on the device to look at notifications, text, background pictures, or app lists on the lock screen. External documentation only. The lab can only inventory, photograph, and log the external physical serial numbers and hardware condition of your device. In modern digital forensics, a two-step warrant execution is common, which is step one is the seizure of it. Officers secure a warrant to physically seize the device to preserve the evidence before a suspect can destroy it. That's what they did in the Karen Reed case. They did not have a warrant to search her phone, but they had a warrant to seize the device. Preservation. Step two is to search it. While the device sits locked inside the PHRCFL vault, investigators must draft a secondary detailed affidavit to a judge outlining specific probable cause to look inside the device. Only after the judge issues a dedicated warrant to search can the lab forensic software be deployed. Now, I don't know if Ann Taylor fumbled this, okay, or if Hippler was an asshole, okay, because this is how I see this. How could Tanzola extract the phone and provide an image copy, okay, to Moscow? Because you're not allowed to do that. There was not a warrant. There was no warrant. Where was the warrant that gave permission for the actual, a search is considered extracting. And guess what? It's the lab protocol here. I went and looked up what are your guys' protocols here? What's the policy? Like, think about when you go to Verizon with your own phone and you need to get a new phone because it's broke or some shit like that, whatever the reason may be. You know, you just don't waltz in there and walk in there and grab a phone off the shelf and walk out. Okay. So again, what I'm explaining to you guys is the PHRCFL. Like, hey, this is how it goes. This is how we work. This is how things happen. So let's go. Okay. So then I went to the actual, now the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory selectively prioritizes specific high-level crimes and utilizes a highly specified suite of commercial and federal digital forensic tools to extract and process data, because I wanted to know everything that the capabilities were at this Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensics Laboratory, okay? This Philly lab does not process minor offenses. I said, okay, throw them out. You know, this is a very critical, it's public safety threats. So violent crimes, homicides, child sex abuse material, terrorism, national security, financial and cyber fraud. So we get to the right here. Remember how Higgins went in and used like a self-service kiosk back in the Karen Reed case, if you guys have been following that? So the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory operates as a accredited full-service digital forensic facility managed through a joint partnership between the FBI and local law enforcement. The lab follows strict federal protocols in order to isolate, extract, and document electronic data for criminal prosecutions. This is the step-by-step investigative pipeline for the intake and legal verification. Law enforcement, again, agencies must submit evidence accompanied by an official PHRCFL request form. Like I just said, personal personally verifying that the submitting agency has proper legal authority, which must include a signed search warrant, written consent, a grand jury subpoena, or a court order. And that has to come from the jurisdiction of Moscow. That's who I want to understand. The protocol is that would have to come from Moscow. Again, personnel verify that the submitting agency has proper legal authority, which must include a signed search warrant, written consent, or a grand jury subpoena or a court order. Upon arrival, mobile devices are placed immediately into specialized Faraday boxes or signal blocking pouches. This stops the device from connecting to the cellular networks or Wi-Fi, preventing suspects from initiating a remote wipe or modifying the data. Bit stream duplication. It's called bit stream duplication. Examiners do not work directly on the original device to protect the chain of custody. They use forensic software to create an exact sector by sector bit stream image, the copy of the storage media, mounting hard drives in a strict read-only environment to prevent alterations. That means that Mauy was given a read-only, possible read-only. Like that means everything's already in format for you. That means somebody already went through it. The extraction process, because they're going to give it to you in a read-only format. Data extraction recovery. Utilizing advanced forensic tools, certified examiners bypass lock screens, decrypted hidden directories, and recover deleted text messages, photos, application logs, and location history data. Lab examiners act as objective technical scientists. They compile the recovered data into readable reports for case detectives, but do not analyze or interpret the meaning or intent behind the data. What? Wait a second. This is Tina with What the Fuck Transition Services. I'm very confused here. So Jeffrey Tanzula is not going to tell us what any of this shit means. Okay, ready? Impartial presentation. Again, lab examiners act as an objective technical scientist. They compile the recovered data into readable reports for case detectives, but do not analyze or interpret the meaning or intent behind the data. When a case goes to trial, this specific PHRCFL examiner is called by prosecutors to testify as an expert witness in explaining exactly how the digital extraction was performed to validate the evidence for the jury. So you're validating the evidence, meaning that I extracted that. This is the form that it was in. It's to show that it hasn't been tampered with. Okay. Operational infrastructure and specialized tools. The joint task force model is that the FBI provides the physical facility, advanced forensic equipment, and operational funding. Local partner agencies, to include the Philadelphia Police Department and surrounding county district attorneys' offices, embed their own sworn officers directly into the lab as full-time digital examiners. We offer self-service kiosks. For rapid investigations, the lab features cell phone investigative kiosks and loose media kiosks. These secure automated terminals allow field officers to bypass the standard lab backlog and extract data from a cell phone or thumb drive into a localized report in roughly 30 minutes. My question is would anybody be able to tell that that was done on Brian Kohberger's phone? If somebody just hurry up and did like a quick 30. Regional training. The PHRCFL acts as a centralized school for local law enforcement, training external officers on how to properly handle, preserve, and transport digital electronics from crime scenes without destroying data. Now, if you are just joining us, you want to start from the beginning so that you can understand that I'm explaining how and where Brian Kohberger's phone, it was at his house, then it just winds up here at the, right here, at the Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory, okay? And Jeffrey Tanzola. Maury testifies. So we're going to go over here now. Oopsies.
And examine all detail records for the 4 hours in question. That.
Just to be really sure, did you take part in the investigation into the homicides on King Road?
Yes.
And what was your role?
A lot of different things. I'll how to answer that.
Well, I can ask you about a couple of roles, maybe.
Sure.
Do you do any work with cell phones and cell towers?
I have taken training for cell phone analysis.
Was that one of the roles that you played in this investigation?
Yes.
All right. And the other area that I'd like to talk to you about is the collection of video evidence or surveillance evidence from around the community. What was your role in that?
So we gathered a lot of data from USB hard drives that came in. At one point, all of that was given to me so that I could copy it over to a server. So we had it stored back there.
Did you inventory it at that time as you got it in, I guess?
So he's saying that he uploaded, by the way, all the video surveillances to a server.
Don't have to say inventory. I used the evidence technician. They'll be looked individually at the time. Right. So the USB had the name of it on it. I would label the folder, what it was, and that came from it.
Did you have any role in verifying the content of the surveillance?
No.
I'm going to have a few questions about that, but I want to talk a little bit more about your role with cell phones and cell towers. So let's start there, okay? What training do you have for that role?
So some time ago, I went through what is a PATC training, which is cellular analysis, and I've also taken classes for the CAST codes.
The cellular analysis, is that particular to the device itself, the cell phone device?
No.
That is particular to towers?
To the towers and the providers themselves.
When did you take that training?
Well, the CAST, I believe it was in 2019, and then I also did it again last year.
And the CAST that you took in 2019, that was the ENDICAC, is that right?
That was phenomenal again, right?
And the CAST that you took last year was October of 2023, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was the actual CAST training?
They were both done by actual CAST members. I'm not sure if one was sponsored by the other, but they were both performed by FBI CAST members.
And Your Honor, if I can approach.
Yes, thank you.
Detective Maury, I'm putting in front of you what's labeled as Defendant's Exhibit O, and those are 2 certificates for training. Is that correct?
Yes,
All right. So the one that's from 2019, what did that cover?
that covered the use of the CAST codes software.
And what did the one in 2023 cover?
The same.
Your Honor, I move for admission of Defendant's O.
The objection?
No objection.
Okay.
Detective Maury, how many total hours do those certificates represent of CAST training?
I apologize. I didn't look. It was a week long. It was actually a couple of days each time. 2 days apiece. If they did this, but 19 shows 24 hours. 2023 says 16 hours.
Thank you, Detective.
Thank you.
Detective, you've written some reports in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
I want to talk about 2 particular reports right now. One is from May the 5th of 2023. Do you recall that report, or should I bring a copy of that to you?
If you helpful that up.
I can definitely by CAST this. Is that right?
I would assume that I didn't create those files.
What date were they created?
I believe one was in December. The other was in April.
December of what year?
22,
And April of what year?
23.
Could you tell who created those?
I could not.
How did you get those?
I was provided those via email.
By who?
The balance of the object.
What did you do with those?
Gave them as soon as I realized they were in my possession. I had contacted the prosecutor and gave them.
And that would be just yesterday, is that correct?
Yes.
What did you do with them prior to that time?
They were sent to me. I put them in a folder and I didn't do anything else with them. That's why I forgot them.
Okay, and that was the 48-hour file?
48-hour session log, yes.
How about the full file? What was contained in there?
Similar items to the 48.
What is the full file?
I believe that was the second 18.
Okay. So, Lana, why'd you play that? Well, because Chris Whitcomb, that was for you. This is Maury saying that he did not do any of this work, nor did Brett Payne. The FBI did the work. So, Chris Whitcomb, I am asking for the files that have to do with the dates of when the FBI agents created and looked at and examined every file that has to do with Brian Kohberger's phone and the chain of custody with the search warrants to be able to get that material, all of that. Chris Whitcomb never talks about the feds at all in his book. In fact, doesn't mention a federal agent's name not once. They are the only people with personal knowledge and who physically did a damn thing other than goofing material. You're not going to find any of this material in any of the Moscow Police Department reports unless you're able to get these attachments that were uploaded. And that, as you can see here, these people just went and put it, they gave it to me and I just store it on my computer. I mean, I never looked at it.
T return that we got via warrant. I wasn't able to open it to verify it.
That brings up a question for clarification. When you say second warrant return, are you talking about something that relates to Brian Kohberger?
Yes, there was 2 warrants that were originally written. One that covered a 48-hour period for the cell phone number, and there was one that was later done for a longer period of time.
And those are what you're referring to as the warrants 1 and warrant 2?
Correct. One for 48 and one for the longer period.
In the report that I just received today, there was reference to a loped bar file. What's that?
It is a file that I received from Agent Balance.
When did you receive that?
Honestly, the modification or the email, I honestly don't remember. Unfortunately, it was yesterday and I didn't throw this stuff together. So,
Okay. So that was one that you just found yesterday?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. Notice how they don't want to give up any of these dates. When did you get this email from Detective Balance? Where is this, any of this communication? When did you get this? I don't know. She just got this stuff. Okay. They're going for a motion to compel because they're not giving up stuff. He's testifying, right? And he's on the stand admitting that I had to write up a report. That's why she put something in front of him. May 3rd, the May 3rd report. I have to put this in front of you. So I'm going to go to my May 3rd report here. Report 193, Maury. I was able to download the account data for, however, the data files for were not available, in quotes. Maury was able to download the account data for, however, the data files, though, they were not available. And then quotes, Lawrence Maury 196. Kohberger AT&T data. I was assigned the task of examining the call detail records that were obtained Maury was assigned the task of examining the call detail records that were obtained from AT&T pursuant to a warrant served by Corporal Brett Payne for the time frame of November 12th at midnight through November 14th. These records were requested for the account associated with the phone number known as 8458. But if one was to read that, okay, you would think that you did it for the search warrant, for the material, but really you did, like, this report is written this way and you did this and wrote this up because actually, no, you were asked to look at this stuff for the grand jury that was impaneled.
Did you open that?
I don't recall opening it. But I did, I don't recall doing it.
How about the CDR.xlsx file? Would that, and CDR, what does that stand for?
All detail records?
Did you open that?
I don't remember if I did not.
Did you open it yesterday?
I don't remember. I was looking for it. Once I found them, I was trying to figure out how they came into my presence or in my possession.
So you've never seen those before if you're trying to figure that out. This is absolutely fucking crazy. But now when you go back and I'm able to, like, put it all here in context for you, okay, of what was truly happening back then, okay?
That's where I started to focus.
Okay. How about the export.kmz file? When did you find that file?
I had found that one yesterday.
Do you know when that came into your possession?
Some time ago.
Did you open that?
I believe I did on my laptop.
What did that show you?
It showed me different locations and so forth on a map.
Those three files that we just talked about, along with the CASVIZ 48 and the CASVIZ full, are those copied so that I can have those now?
Yes.
And you referred to emails. How many emails did you find when you were preparing for this hearing?
There was 5?
Are those included for me to have now as well?
Yes.
Thank you. In the
Again, report 196. Normally you would write a date of when you were tasked something, okay? Kohberger AT&T data. I was assigned the task of examining the call detail records that were obtained. The call detail records were obtained in December of 2022. Okay. Why would anybody think that you're now referring to the fact that, oh, I was assigned that task though at the beginning of, maybe at the end of April, beginning of May for the grand jury? Wait, so why doesn't it say that in your report? They're conveniently trying to leave out the FBI here.
report that I received today, there was a reference to drawings.json file. What's that?
It was a JSON file that was inside the CASVIZ session notice.
What does that depict?
It's just data that CASVIZ would use, I'm guessing, to replot something on the map to actually show locations or other things.
Did you do anything with that file when you found it yesterday?
I did open that file, yes.
Okay. What did that show you when you opened it?
There were references to 2 locations inside.
When you open it, does it just say here's 2 references, or what does it show you when you open it?
It's different code, but there is some plain language or plain English, plain text inside of that code that show 2 addresses.
The 2 address being 1122 King Road and the other address being Brian Kohberger's at WSU.
Did you use that file? Well, let me ask this first. That file that contains code, do you use that with the CAST biz program?
I attempted to load the session file in its entirety and received errors, so I was not able to. That's why I went into the JSON file to see if there was something I could see.
Because you didn't have the right version, right?
Is that file usable?
I'm sure it is to someone.
What is the restriction for you?
I don't know what restriction it is. I don't know what to do with that file outside of, if I could possibly bring it into the cast is. I tried to pull it.
What the fuck did you testify to at the grand jury? What did you testify to at the grand jury? This is the material that you would have had to look at, use to testify at the grand jury? Because you have to remember, these FBI agents didn't testify at no grand jury. Who's testifying? He is. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He doesn't know anything. How can you testify to something at the grand jury? What did you say at the grand jury? That's how they indicted Brian Kohberger. There was supposed to be a preliminary hearing. Okay? Then Bill Thompson's like, oh shit, this cannot happen. We have to indict him. We have to go grand jury. Okay? That's why he was sent off, okay, to go, hey, you need to go learn about some shit, get more training, blah, blah, so that you're going to be testifying to this shit, to the grand jury. He did this. How could he testify to the grand jury? He didn't even know the shit existed until yesterday. The grand jury had already happened.
And then as a combined session log, which is what I was trained to do. So I didn't get that. I didn't pull that file.
Is that file available on a discovery drive for me?
Provided to the prosecutor today.
Thank you. In the report that I just got today,
This is no different than the data dump that was given to Ann Taylor, that Brent Turvey's talking about. Okay, the same thing that they did right before this hearing, and how they're just giving her stuff, right? There was a huge data dump, just like this, giving something to Ann right before, and she's over here claiming, hey, we need a continuation. This was a constant reoccurring theme. And I just know that if it would have stayed in Latah County, Judge would have known that.
there's a reference to another cast biz session and some screenshots. What is that about?
I believe you're talking about just the regular 48 hours folder.
I don't know. I'm curious.
So that I provided two folders. One was cast biz and one was my last name of Maury. Once the program is open, you can, as well as the built-in Windows game console, I believe it's
For the grand jury to use.
that's when I was asked to examine the data.
You weren't the main guy with the call detail records or with the cast biz programming. Did I understand that much right?
There was another investigator that was doing that.
Okay. But you end up involved in it somehow in April of 2023, is that right?
That's when I was asked to examine the data to provide that for the grand jury.
Okay. Was that all of your instruction?
What do you mean by that?
Do you understand how phony and fake this is? Let me explain this to you. Hey, we arrested Brian Kohberger off of work that this man did not do. Okay. We got our search warrants, everything off of the work of who? Nick Balance. Okay. That's to arrest him for probable. Here go. Make probable cause, all that stuff, all the work. Great. We get our search warrant to arrest Brian Kohberger. You guys, why did it take them so long to indict Brian Kohberger through grand jury? Why didn't Bill Thompson impanel a grand jury right away? Hello? I mean, anybody? Hello? So here we're going to have this guy. Hey, Maury, we know that you didn't do any of the work, but right now, Ashley Jennings calls him up and says, hey, we're going to impanel this grand jury, and I need you to testify to everything to do with the cast viz shit. What? Yeah. You're going to testify. So wait, you're going to like tell the grand jury that what? We're going to mislead the grand jury here? Did the grand jurors think that this motherfucker did the work? So December, this work is being done. He doesn't do any of it. Arrest Brian Kohberger end December. January, February, March, end of April, Ashley Jennings calls up Maury and says, hey, I'm going to need you to testify to the grand jury about this cast viz and, you know, everything on how it all works and how it all aligns with Brian Kohberger. Basically everything that's in the probable cause affidavit. So now he's going to claim it like it's his own work that he doesn't know anything about, though, and doesn't know how anything works. And so Ashley Jennings and Bill Thompson, whichever person it was asking the questions when this man was on the stand in front of a grand jury.
Well, you're asked by somebody else who's actually doing this part of the investigation in the case to produce something for the grand jury to use. And I'm curious about what you relied on, to get to that point. I want to know all the records you relied on, all of the emails, all of the conversations you relied on to produce this.
To testify to the grand fucking jury.
Saying that you're not the expert for it.
So I wrote the affidavit for the AT&T records, received the AT&T records. Those records were also given to another investigator who was the main investigator doing the CDR records. Prosecution then asked me to provide or create some type of visualization of the call detail records.
Some type of wait, excuse me. So Ashley Jennings just calls you up and says, hey, Maury, I'm going to need you to create just some type of, you know, visual presentation for the grand jury of the call detail records that you didn't do and, you know, cast viz and all that.
And examine the call detail records for the 4 hours in question. That.
Just to be really sure, when you talked about writing the 2 warrants for AT&T, we're talking about 2 warrants that relate to Brian Kohberger. There were a lot of other warrants. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be really clear on that.
Because she's laying a record.
You've taken the cast training. Is that right?
Yes.
And you know there's a way to save your session. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there's also a way just to hit reset and delete your session. Do you know that part too?
Mhm.
And back in April, when you were creating something for the grand jury, you hit reset. Is that right?
Or I just deleted the files out of it. I don't remember if I hit reset or delete. You can delete them individually as well.
You don't remember which thing you did,
I do.
but you decided to delete what you.
You just did this a month ago. You don't remember what you did, though. No, I don't remember what I did. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know shit about shit about shit.
Breathe.
I don't know. I didn't delete anything. I didn't create the session log, so I don't know how I was doing it. You delete the reference of the file in the software, but the file itself is not deleted.
I want to make sure I understand. The record, the AT&T record still exists. You didn't delete that.
Correct.
But the session, when you put that in to the Cast Viz program, and it does its thing with the call detail records, which includes tower references, you either deleted that session or you chose to reset. Did I understand that right?
Didn't create a session log. I don't know how I would delete it. I just removed the reference to the file, the main file, from the software at some point. I don't know when I did that.
Mm.
You don't know when you did that?
No, you can close the software without hitting reset or delete.
And then it would just stay there.
I believe it.
And you can also export your session if you get interrupted and you want to come back and work on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do that? You left it up and running at some point and then did something that didn't save it. Is that right?
The session log was never created. Did not create a session log. The CDR records I was dealing with is relatively small. There's no need to do that because I can ingest the files right back into Castviz in a short amount of time.
Your Honor, just for clarity, may I approach, fine. Are you familiar with the document that was handed to you that's marked Defendants W? Is that something that you were taught from the CAST Users Guide?
I'm sure I was. It's also included in the software that can be readily accessible.
Thank you. Switch gears on you and talk a little bit more about videos for a second, but if I can have just one moment. Transportation to talk about some of the cameras that cover main roads coming into and out of Moscow.
Yes.
And did you attempt to make preservation of any items? What items did you want preserved?
I was trying to see if they had saved video or still images from those files
What did you learn?
that they do not.
All right, so you just changed it to Pacific,
Correct.
talked about them being purged from their,
Didn't tell you what time. Most of
Get anything during your investigation? Did I misunderstand that? Yes, just a bit. You were just speaking with the prosecutor about the images from Wendy.com. And I thought you didn't preserve anything or go back and look at anything during your investigation. Did I misunderstand that?
so yesterday when I was directed by the prosecutor.
Okay, so yesterday the prosecutor said, go look for these things.
Yes.
But before that, you and other investigators decided not to. Did I get that right?
With the information that we were given, we were told that there would be a screenshot for the day. If I remember right, the parameters of. We did not grab those because they were not. Didn't see that they would be relevant.
Okay. But you didn't look back then. You waited until yesterday. Is that right?
No, we looked back then. I couldn't tell you what time. Most of the photos that were taken.
Okay, so basically what I see here is we always wondered how the hell can you not have any video of this vehicle entering into Moscow, departing and leaving, because like coming from WSUA, going out, back to WSU, right? And he was just managed to be just missing all of these, cameras. Okay. What we never considered is that maybe we needed to not have those certain cameras because you would have seen a different car. We would have been able to potentially link somebody else coming over from WSU in a vehicle, you know, just before or after 4:30 a.m. Just, that other vehicle. There could be another vehicle.
The Davy screenshot or the Davy's screenshots were daytime. They look the days and a thing.
Okay. Then Maury testifies again. So if you go to Maury's testimony and you do Judge Hippler, let's see what pops up.
Now,
databases, these private databases that people are.
Well, it's clear from reading the probable cause affidavit that she's not going to recognize the defendant.
what relevance was the statements of DM that were included in the affidavit?
Great question. Why were these ones even included? What do they have to do with PC? The bushy eyebrows, I understand why that one was included. But the rest of the statements about thought she heard something and the person said something, what was the relevance of that? I'm interested in this answer.
I cited those in my response throughout.
What were they?
Okay. I can tell you.
She said, why was it important the magistrate know those things? In other words,
It's the timeline.
The idea of the perpetrator is, are they going to establish a timeline of when the alleged or when the murder
Why are you coaching her?
took place? So it's part ID as well?
I think that it goes to giving a general description of the person that she saw in the residence around the time that
So that kind of gets undermined when you're saying that's Brian Kohberger, when she looks at a photo of Brian Kohberger and says, I can't say that's him.
corroborates when we know these crimes occurred. Yes, a general description is material and relevant. And that general description, which is what was provided in the PC affidavit, was consistent throughout all of her interviews. She described seeing someone wearing all black, a mask with only a portion of their face showing and visible. This person was male.
That's not true, though. She said that she saw his nose one time, then she didn't.
White.
Woo!
She heard a voice that was not someone that she recognized. The person was a slim, skinny, lean build. And the person was taller than she is around 5'8".
That's not what she said, though. It could be a couple inches taller or shorter than her.
That's what's important. It was that general description. And that general description did not change.
So that got probable cause. That's like you basically, if you remove it from it, would there still be probable cause? Question is why did you have it in there? And you have it in there because of a timeline. Does she not really know why she has it in there? I mean, she has to know. She avoiding that to say like, well, this has to do with the timeline. Like,
It's also important to establish the timeline.
It is.
the only thing it's for. The absolute only motherfucking thing it's for.
It's important to establish the timeline to know when that the timeline matched the vehicle surveillance of when a suspect vehicle is coming into the area of 11:22 and then leaves, as well as text communications of her relaying what she's observing during the same time period. And even if the state's wrong, that somehow there was some exculpatory relevance to some of her statements.
So when the PC affidavit is reporting that she's saying heard playing with the dog, heard something being said, etc. Did Miss Jennings just tell me that DM was texting those things to somebody as they were happening? And why would she be doing that if they were just things she didn't know that they were, significant for any reason? Because the PC affidavit certainly wasn't suggesting DM knew her roommates were being murdered and was giving a blow by blow. But if that isn't what happened, then why would any of that stuff be significant enough for her to be texting about it?
Not being included in the probable cause affidavit. You can take all of it out and the magistrate would still have probable cause. The second issue defendant, the second kind of bucket that they take issue with DM is about these other just statements that she gives during her interviews. The defendant argues when an eyewitness states she's not sure anything she saw was real, a magistrate should know about it. Well, the simple answer is investigators knew what she saw was real. And we
no, they didn't know that what she saw was real or not real because they weren't there, Ms. Jennings. So they don't know. The attitude really needs to go.
know it wasn't a dream.
Andrea, girl, you didn't know I was bringing the live today, did you? Dead. No.
Because they found the evidence discovered the next morning. Those statements didn't need to be included in the PC affidavit because they weren't exculpatory.
Or it happened earlier and she's just reciting why Bethany called her first. And Bethany's like, did you hear that? Or like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is Anna laying on the floor covered in blood? Dylan? Oh my God, I know, right? I'm just totally freaked out, girl. No, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. I don't know what's going on. I heard something earlier. Let me see. So yeah, I called everybody. I'm yelling people's names. No one's answering. I don't know. I'm just totally freaked out.
It didn't support this idea that this didn't really happen, that somehow we got it wrong.
It could have happened at 2:52. I don't understand how Anne blew this argument. This is like the easiest argument to like crush Jennings. Jennings sucks. She is fucking horrible. I mean, absolutely goddamn awful. You could suck a dick literally live and oral argue against this broad and win.
Next defendant attacks the vehicle identification.
I just want to say I'm really pleased to see the mimicking the same body language here now again from Judge Hippler, because that's really called for. That's really called for here. Yes. Thank you for that, Judge.
Well, this picture they're painting about how this happened just is simply not true.
Excuse me? What picture that we're painting?
The magistrate was given a very detailed picture of the investigation at the time related to the white sedan, which was later determined to be a Hyundai Elantra. This was about 5 pages of the probable cause affidavit. The reality is, yeah, still images and video were provided to a vehicle specialist. Based on his review, he provided information to investigators that the suspect vehicle was likely a Hyundai Elantra. There was some discussion regarding
No, he didn't. They said 9 different vehicles. Dude, this girl.
what was the most appropriate year range. But at the specialist direction, he said that the year range to be focused on was 2011 to 2016. So Detective Payne reasonably relied on his expertise as a vehicle specialist and included that in his probable cause affidavit. And the court has in front of it the emails attached as exhibits that show that's exactly what occurred. And the defendant appears to argue that, well, the vehicle specialist shouldn't have relied on this video because they can't tell that that was a Hyundai Elantra. To them, it doesn't look like, I guess, a Hyundai Elantra. And the video that is clear, well, they take issue with that video because, and specifically we're talking about 1125 Ridge Road, because they say, well, that can't be surveillance video of the white Elantra, even though it was caught on video about 0.3 miles from the crime scene, about 3 minutes right before when we see the suspect vehicle enter the area of the crime scene, which 0.3 and 3 minutes appear to be the amount of time it would take the vehicle to travel to the area of the crime scene.
Do some quick math in my head there, because that doesn't seem quite right to me. That seems like 0.3 miles. The car is going, oh, let's give it the benefit of the doubt and saying it's going 20 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood. 60 miles an hour is 1 mile a minute. 20 is 3 times that. It would be 1 mile. Look at that in 3 minutes. This is only 0.3 miles. 3 times too long.
They say, well, that can't be the right video because if it were, then the surveillance right up the street would have also caught this video. But we know that's not true. And that's been submitted to this court. Excuse me?
When was it submitted to this court?
Well, it was submitted through my response.
I was afraid that you were going to say.
Yeah, that's why they went and asked that dude about his camera over there on Paradise. These people are sick.
So additional information. Additional information that they had that wasn't submitted with the warrant.
Through my response, that their logic is flawed.
No.
And I can tell you, it has since been confirmed. I do not have, and it has been discovered to defense. We had Special Agent Hill confirm, and he discovered this as Bates 15990, which confirms that the surveillance camera that was set up to capture motion would not have captured the corner the defendant says must.
How did he confirm that? That's not confirmed. He had a totally different fucking system when they went back to his house, because they never went back there, to test any of this out when it happened. Instead, they wait all these years later. He has a new camera system, and yeah. I cannot believe this shit, going back and looking at this. Ann Taylor, why weren't you shoving this all straight down her fucking throat? She would have been got did you not have the material to argue this? Like, you had it. Did you not know where it was? I mean, what are you doing?
Necessarily captured.
Or is it all Hitler here because he had it all in front of him with 995 pages and he was just like, fuck.
Again, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the defendant.
Again, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what, Ashley?
Speculation.
These conclusory statements isn't how, like, that's just her. She's like, I'd be saying that, well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this doesn't matter. Your Honor, she's basically wishing away her whole entire affidavit here. At the end of the day, none of this matters because he's the guy.
Route of travel, and they're differing opinions.
Defendant speculation about the route of travel. That's pretty rich. That's pretty rich.
On a vehicle specialist's opinion, and they haven't made a substantial or sufficient proffer for you to do that. Next, the briefing addresses IGG issue.
Is it possible to tell from the affidavit what shots and what cameras were relied upon to make the identification?
I know that well, I don't know that you needed to. I don't know that all of that information had to be included.
That wasn't my question. My question is whether the affidavit describes the specific shots and cameras relied upon to make the identification.
No. it discusses that several surveillance videos were reviewed, that images were turned over to a vehicle specialist, and then that specialist made a determination. But no, we didn't walk through, describe each and every still image or video to the magistrate. No, nor did we need to. Really, as discussed extensively, I think the only real Frank's issue is, should the IGG process, the fact that it was not included in the PC, is that the basis for Frank's hearing? But you heard testimony today that law enforcement received this tip and they made a strategic decision not to include it. They were told it's only a tip and that they should develop probable cause separately. And that's what they did. And at the end of the day, Your Honor has already kind of hit the nail on the head through your questioning of Ms. Taylor. At the end of the day, this information regarding IGG and the use of IGG is only inculpatory. And the non-reliance on the IGG information does not diminish probable cause. And the IGG information was confirmed through the STR testing. I can't wrap my head around any argument that IGG and STR testing would be exculpatory.
Kind of with her on that one.
Defendant makes kind of hay about the dog barking, and that I guess the magistrate should have been informed that a dog barked for 25 to 30 minutes, and this is just a reach for me.
And this is just a reach for me. How about let's talk about fucking Curtis Whitman, and he's a fucking reach around for me. Okay, Curtis Whitman.
Still unclear how this is exculpatory, and again, this fact just does not diminish. Take out all information related to the dog.
Doesn't it kind of go to time frame to some extent, if nothing else? And how does that line up with the rest of the stuff and DM texting and all these other things that are going on? Doesn't it go to that?
It doesn't diminish probable cause. Circling back to the cell phones, at the end of the day, this is the proffer is their opinion of the evidence. That's not the basis for a Frank's hearing.
Their opinion of the evidence. What are you talking about? The phone didn't shut off at 2:48. It wasn't moving in concert with the car that you try to make it seem like it was moving with.
We're relying on our expert's opinion. They disagree. And that is a dispute.
No, your expert, your what they're disagreeing with is the falsivity, the known and reckless false fucking shit that you put in an affidavit. And that you guys all knew was false.
Should be had and should be had at trial. And I suspect it will. But it doesn't give you the basis to grant a Frank's hearing.
Sure.
Found outside of DM's bedroom. They claim that the inclusion of this was misleading. But again, there's nothing misleading about the statement. The statement says during the process of the crime scene, the investigators found a latent shoe print. It was located during the second processing. It came back using a presumptive blood test and showed the presence of cellular material. They let the judge know that it was outside the door to DM's bedroom located on the second floor, and it's consistent with her statements. Yeah. The investigators provided the magistrate the information they had at the time of the investigation.
So I guess they.
But you didn't provide the information that the lab personnel, that actually the crime scene reconstruction people that went in there, your CSI team, they're over here writing down that we're treating that as law enforcement prints, footprints, or a footprint.
Learn something.
Don't you think that would be exculpatory? Don't you think, I don't know, a Bethany calling first is exculpatory? I mean, Ann Taylor, you fucking dropped the goddamn ball in arguing this. I'm just thoroughly disgusted.
Different? Is that what I'm getting? It's true. I mean, that's the standard. The affidavit is based on what you knew at the time. And turns out later that you were wrong. That doesn't undermine the Frank's affidavit, or that doesn't undermine the affidavit. That doesn't require Frank's hearing because you didn't know it was wrong at the time. And that will happen a lot with things like, you know, informants that lie, like that's never happened, right? But you don't necessarily know that at the time. You find out after the fact.
Defendants' opinions about where the shoe print should have been located, and it couldn't necessarily have been located there. Again, that just doesn't rise to the level to warrant a Frank's hearing. Again, our case doesn't hinge on the identification of the shoe print. Neither did the PC affidavit. There was sufficient probable cause with or without this information.
So it sounds like they were able to ID the shoe print to a known person, maybe an investigator.
In their motion,
Before you get to that, can you address the allegation that the cell phone data was, I guess, purposefully erroneous as to the time that the phone was no longer reporting, which then relates to the supposed position of travel?
right? Well, I don't know that I completely wrap my head around the defendant's logic in this.
I have to, so help me out.
Well, I still don't
I
understand.
understand her statement and her argument. I'm trying to understand your response.
I guess what was reported was the information known at the time that the probable cause affidavit was given. There's-
That is false. That statement right there is false. What was known at the time, that's not even true. What was known at the time is that it didn't show up at 2:48. What was also known at the time, what? You had Brian Kohberger's VIN when you wrote up the probable cause, right? For his arrest, right? You knew what kind of car he had, right? You knew that he didn't have fog lights, right?
the information that he was given from.
This goes to my first question about imputed erroneous statements.
You know that Curtis Whitman nor did Daniel Tanagle play any role in finding and providing. The way that you made it seem is that they provided the information to law enforcement here on the 29th that we found Brian Kohberger's car, and that's why you guys started investigating him. So it's not that you left IGG out. It's that plus you made it seem like you got to him a different way, a completely different way. That you never even used IGG. You acted like you didn't even use it, and that here we're going to write up this probable cause statement in 18 pages, and the way that we're going to make it flow is that we began to look at Brian Kohberger because on November 29th, Curtis Whitman at 12:58 physically was in the presence of the vehicle of Brian Kohberger's, and he found a Washington plate on that car that had a Pennsylvania plate on it. When in reality, Curtis Whitman didn't turn over shit on the 29th. But you had to make it seem like he did. Why? Was he fucking around with his car? What the fuck's he doing? Is he trying to lift up some DNA off that car that's Brian Kohberger? I have no idea. But why wouldn't he turn in his findings like he was supposed to do and get in touch with Moscow Police Department? Daniel Tanagle did absolutely nothing. All he did was a stupid query of which just gave you like, hey, if your investigators are asking for whatever Honda Elantras we have on campus that have permits, that's a query. He didn't locate shit. Here's a query, boom. Then it was Curtis Whitman, who 30 minutes later, right after Daniel Tanagle does this, Curtis Whitman then goes and finds this vehicle. And I think has a little slip up because he's like, oh, we confirmed and we found it. Well, how did you confirm and find it? Because it's different plates. So when you would have been going around, it would have been, hey, this is the plate number that I'm writing down. But did you run it over remember, don't use the radios? So if you didn't use the radios and you were only going off of permits, you would have looked at your permits, right? And you would have saw there was no permit that had that license plate. But guess what? You guys weren't doing any of that work. Okay, that's not what WSU did. Also, how does Curtis Whitman know that he found Brian Kohberger's car at 12:58? Ready? My FOIA, I went and pulled every single report that had anything to do with Curtis Whitman, beginning November 19th and going until the day before it became public knowledge about a white Elantra. And he worked till December 5th. Okay? Curtis Whitman was involved in 23 reports. Okay? So what I'm going to show you here is take a look at, now this is proof, in my opinion, beyond a reasonable doubt, that, so I went and got, there's 96 pages here, 23 different reports from 11/19 to December 6th. Assist other agency. The number of reports or calls for Curtis Whitman to assist another agency was at least 2 or 3, which was the Pullman Police Department, and 1 was the Moscow Police Department. Okay? Meaning this. I'm able to prove that Curtis Whitman, I want you to show you how he also writes his reports. Okay. First of all, I think this is suspicious. On 11/19/2022, he gets this, an admin called him and said, "Hey, go check out go check out this building. We think it's not secure." Okay? And when you normally do like a building check like this, it takes a couple minutes. Curtis Whitman went, and he was missing from 9:30 on 11/19 until 10, you see that 10:18, 48 minutes. He was on location to see if a building was secure. I have another example in here when he does this a different time, and he's there for all of like, I think less than 7-8 minutes. It was at the WSU library. Okay. And this is how he'll write a report. He'll say, officer responded for a security check and found building to be secure. Okay. Now, what I realized is that you need to have an excuse to go into buildings now, ever since with WSU. So basically his card was swiped at the library. Okay. And you better have a good reason as to why the hell you were doing whatever it is that you were doing there for 48 minutes. Okay. Well, I had to check this building and make sure it was secure. Oh, interesting. Okay. On 11/19 at 9:30, that's a really important date because that's the first date of them talking about Brian Kohberger. We're not talking about Brian Kohberger, but talking about vehicles and asking questions over there at WSU. Okay. Now take a look at this. This is report number 2. When I say report number 2, I say it that way because he only has 23 reports that he's involved in at all from 11/19 to 12/6. I'm gonna zoom in. And so the next one would be on, see how it says 11/20 at what is it? 12:01 and 47 seconds. You see how it says occurred at that time? Do you see how it also says like occurred between? It's like the same time. I want to show you something. You see how it says W933 like that? That's the incident report. Now look at this. W934. So he's writing these reports up back to back. Okay. And this is extra patrol suspicious. Like, so where did you go and do? Where did you respond? Wait. Look at this. Last radio call, I was like, well, how is this at 12:40 and 12 seconds? When it was reported, this is reported at 12:01 and 47 seconds. So again, I'm like, what is this about? And this is extra patrol. Officer responded for a security check and found building to be secure. Excuse me? Well, what building was this? What officer is this? Is this just another officer that you met up with? And I was like, no, actually, this is 300 block of Northeast Veterans Mall. Okay. Look at the time though. So now we get to discuss more. So the first thing is on the same day, because 11:19 becomes 11:20, right? So here it is, 9:30 and then 10:18, 48 minutes. Then he does another one on 11:19. And now this is close to 39 minutes. It's like he's having these little meetups. But here we have to act like we're just checking a building. Then, see where it says, this is the third one. 11:24, 8:44 p.m. Suspicious circumstances. Do you see where it says assisting outside agency? So this is how you would write up a report if you were assisting the outside agency. So on 11:29, you would have been assisting the outside agency, which was Moscow. Here, on 11:24, Eric Warner. See these names? Elijah, he's a Moscow police officer. He's a Moscow police officer. It was the Moscow police office that asked for their assistance. Okay? And what this is this is a guy that showed up at Sherry's restaurant and wrote on the back, he was from Minneapolis, Minnesota, wrote on the back of like a receipt, said there was going to be a mass like bombing. Okay. But as you can see here, Curtis Whitman says at approximately 9:43, dispatch advised a Moscow police officer was requesting a WSU police officer call him, reference a suspicious call located at 121. There's the address. Now, why? I called Officer Flaherty with MPD, who was assigned to the case. He told me the following: a sergeant with the Latah County Jail, later identified as, now I want to show you guys right here. This guy right here, officer, this jail, Latah County Jail, I believe right there that guy needs to be looked into as a potential leak of information about how Brian Kohberger's jail mail was getting passed around to people. The Latah County Jail right here, this guy right here, okay? A sergeant with the Latah County Jail, later identified as Ethan A. Ogden, was told by his niece about a suspicious note written on the back of a Sherry's receipt while she was at work today. While on the phone with Officer Flaherty, who he sent me a picture of the handwritten note. This note says, stay away from large crowds this weekend. There is an extremely high probability of a mass casualty event at anything having to do with the Apple Cup. Kemp and Inslee could stop this with executive orders if they cared about public safety. I'll be waiting if they don't. Okay. And he signed it, like who he was and everything. Paralegal. You can find this shit in this discovery. Now, why does this matter? Well, because we're going to talk about it. Why this matters. Because Officer Flaherty, who's with Moscow Police Department, stated that since the threats were in reference to Pullman, Washington, they passed the case along to us. He said that they did not have a crime in Idaho. I requested him to see if Sherry's had credit card information or video surveillance of the mail. Officer Lamley with the Pullman Police Department. So we have WSU, Pullman, and Moscow. This is being written up. All three of the people, right? They went and tried to see if they can get video surveillance. The nom didn't have any, and neither did Sherry's. Then he was spending the night at one of the hotels and then going to Lewiston. All right. I then called the original reporting person, Ethan, who did not tell me anything different than what I already knew. He provided me with the phone number for his niece, who received the note. I called Officer Flaherty after he closed the call. He stated he went to Nom and was not able to get video surveillance tonight. Thought that was interesting. Then they get these numbers. We'll give them a call, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the most important part about this is that, oh, so we do write up reports when we're dealing with something from an outside agency like Moscow Police Department wanting you to track down motherfucking Elantras. You'd be writing up a report for anything that you did to assist. Next. Report 4. Best Western University. Again, officers responding. Eric Warner, Corbin Smith, Curtis Whitman, Jeff Olmstead. Really? 11/25/2022. Wow. Assisting or agency is WS, you. And what are you writing this? What is this about? Well, this is on 11/25. So is this the same thing? We'll see. Is this about, there is video on this. And this is about, Leo. So they went to the Best Western or the University Inn on 11/25/2022 at about 10:45. I saw that Moscow PD was receiving a call about a suspicious individual at the University Inn. I was familiar with the individual as he had made suspicious statements about a potential threat to events surrounding the Apple Cup on the WSU campus. These statements were documented in officers in his report from the previous one. So the first thing I said to myself is, what do you mean you saw this? I saw that Moscow PD was receiving a call about a suspicious individual. How did you see that? How are you notified about that? On 11/25, think about what they're supposed to be doing on 11/25. 11/25, Brian Kohberger's vehicle is found for the first time. And it's like, are you showing up where there's Moscow police officers at so that you can have communication with them? Why would you respond to this? You guys do know who Eric Warner is and Corbin Smith? Those are the fucking officers who were the first responding officers of the crime at 1122 King. You want to talk about leaks? You want to talk about how information is being passed around? So Curtis goes over there same day that Pullman finds Brian Kohberger's car for the first time. Now, the call information today stated he was leaving the hotel. I called dispatch and asked if Moscow PD could keep an eye on while I came over to speak with him. So the call came over. I called dispatch and asked if Moscow PD could keep an eye on. So this is how much you guys communicate. So this is how really it works, right? You're able to see what's going on. WSU officers, while they're working, are able to see what the fuck Moscow Police Department's doing because they're monitoring the 911 calls. What about the day that, I don't know, on 11/13/2022, when a 11:58 a.m. call would have come in for an unconscious person that changed to 4 fucking homicides? So what I did is I asked for all of these things so I could see what Curtis Whitman was doing while he was working, right? And to see if there was ever times where he was assisting an outside agency and if he made a report of what he did. And sure as shit, that is protocol. That is what you're supposed to do. Okay? So why wouldn't Curtis Whitman, when he's finding these vehicles that he's driving around looking for, why is there not a single report of him assisting an outside agency named Moscow, Idaho, in the investigation into the murder of 4 college students? Why aren't you reporting what you did? Well, maybe because you didn't fucking do it. Maybe you have nothing to write down because you didn't do it. Ann Taylor on the stand is going to be able to show, hey, so this is what you normally were doing. Like, you assist the other agencies, right? And you write up a report for what you did, right? You're able to hear and see these 911 calls and relay stuff over the computer. I mean, over the radio, right? Okay. So you know that you're writing up these reports. So let's talk about on 11/29 at 11:50 or at 12:50. What was it? Yeah, 12:58 in the morning. How did you know that you found Brian Kohberger's car at 12:58 if you didn't document anything? Everybody ever wonder that? We can understand the query for Tenego because there's going to be a record of that, a timestamp of that, because he used, a software database, right? So Daniel Tenego querying all of them that had parking passes, WSU, give me a rundown of, whatever. Okay, awesome. He does that at 12:28 a.m. Now at 11:29 at 12:58, it is said that Curtis in his vehicle drives up, finds Brian Kohberger's car with Washington plates on it, but never turns this in, never turns it over, doesn't do anything. How then do we know that Curtis Whitman found Brian Kohberger's car at 12:58? It's a very interesting, like, where is that coming from if you didn't document something in real time? If there's nothing to where's the metadata behind where you're coming up at 12:58? There's no radio logs. There's no cat. What are you going off of? See, like this report. Okay, Curtis, when did you go over there? Well, I have this time. 10:45 and 12 seconds. Okay. When's the next report? 11:25. Okay. What time? 2:55. 1:55 in the afternoon? $1:55 in the afternoon. $911 call right there. Now, I went ahead and take a look because that's not his normal shift. So then I take this and I say, let's look you up here, bud. Okay. This is interesting to me. 11:25, right there. You can see, I'll make this bigger. 11:25 is a Friday. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Not his normal shift. Why is he working? Well, he is working the WSU men's basketball versus Detroit Mercy game. Road/326 worked the game from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then Friday again, not his normal shift, worked from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. He was doing what were you doing? Well, swing coverage. Are you fucking kidding me? He was working. This is WSU. Okay. He's working the swing shift. On 11/25/2022, Pullman PD. The swing shift is when Kohberger's vehicle is first reported. By Andre St. Love, detective. Curtis Whitman is on and working the swing shift, the same as now. Backing up at 1:55 in the afternoon, while working the basketball game at 1:55 in the afternoon, officer responded and determined the elevator was clear and operational. No report. Excuse me. Where was this at? This was at 1455 Southeast Stadium Way at Goldsworthy Elevator 1. There was an alarm elevator. Okay, well, this better be inside the fucking school in the arena. Otherwise, I think it's interesting. Then, when he's, like I said, when he's done working the basketball game, so I'm going to go back here and show you guys something where we left off so you can see. Now, I've been doing some searching so I can dig this all out, but remember, I just told you guys yesterday, Curtis Whitman, comp time 4:30 to 7 on 11/13. The next day, he's supposed to go into work. They have what you call, see, on Monday the 14th. Training OIS. Officer involved shooting. So I said, where was this held? I put a FOIA in for it. I put a FOIA in for then the next day after that, officer involved shooting training. Tuesday. Then he's normally off Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. So let me explain something. This would mean that Curtis Whitman, there's a potentiality that Curtis Whitman, he says that he claims that he left, work early at 4:30 on the night of the murders. Okay. But I believe that it's even earlier. He may have not even went to school. I mean, he may have not even went to work. Who the fuck knows? We're about to find out though. But there's a potentiality that he could have had if he's doing this officer involved training during his shift, the 2 next days after he leaves work at 4:30, then he has 3 consecutive days off. Okay. If he has his gloves on the entire time when he's doing his officer involved training, his hands would be covered, and then he would be away for 3 consecutive days on top of the 2 days of training. I don't know how they do it. I've been trying to track that down. And guess who else was at the OI, the officer involved training for the shooting, for officer involved shooting? Gary Jenkins. Next, when he comes back to work on 11/19, he's working his normal shift, 12 or 9 to 7. Everything's fine there. Then Sunday, he does same thing, his 9 to 7. Now, here's where things get interesting again. Okay. On 11/21/2022, none other than Daniels, Don Daniels, decides to let every single police officer know what students that live in the apartments who are like grad students, PhD students. She gives a list of their names on 11/21 and their vehicle make and model. Big Gare coming in hot. Okay, so I said to myself, why the fuck is did Don Daniels do this? Like, is this normal for you to let people know, the police officers get to know what students are staying and what students aren't staying for Thanksgiving break? Why would they need to know that? Why are you providing? So what you do is you send around this questionnaire. WSU did it. We have the FOIA. And guess whose name is on it? Brian Kohberger's on. His name's on there again. And it says the apartment that he's in. And it says that he will be there during Thanksgiving break. Why would that need to be known for the cops? So on the same day, this is the Thanksgiving, the Don Daniels, all cars, grads, where they live, if they're staying or not for Thanksgiving break. Okay. On this day, that list goes out. Then, so he works the 9 to 7 shift on 11/21. Okay. After his 7 o'clock shift is over, he immediately goes back to the police station because guess what? They have from 7 to 8:30 a management meeting. A management meeting on 11/22 in that morning, 2022. Okay, ready for this? Management meeting? Yeah, because now I'm about to explain to you guys the restructure of the okay, this is the restructure. You guys know that WSU had a huge fucking scandal on their hands. Okay, it forced everybody to be restructured. Okay, so these are my notes. All right, so police chief, assistant police chief, and the captain, they were all basically forced out early retirement, and that all happened in around August 1st of 2022. Okay, so what needed to have happen here is that they were forced to retire 3 months prior to the November 1st, 2022 big reveal that Matt Kirk is, hey, we got you, we caught you. The assistant police chief put the captain, John Larson, in charge to look into this whole alleged sexual shit that this Matt Kirk guy was doing. Captain covered for him though, okay? And with the conduct policy and only wrote up some ridiculous letter. This was back in 2020. There was a whistleblower who saw what was happening and like, wait, he's not going to get any trouble for this. Okay, I'm fucking all protocol here. And I'm going straight to the finance. The person that was in charge of like the financial stuff with the school went to WSU. And her name, which we'll get to in a little bit here. So they went to the finance president, or the vice president of finance and administration. And that would be no other than, I believe, Victoria Murray. Now, Victoria Murray, acting as Vice President of Public Safety, got put into this new role because of this. And it was Victoria Murray who then hits up Chief Jenkins, because he just retired from the Pullman Police Department, and says, hey, will you come and be the police chief over here? I'm going to promote Dawn Daniels in the meantime here to be the she went from being the assistant police chief of police to being the interim police chief until she got Jenkins to come over. So then it would look like it's Jenkins, Dawn Daniels. And then because they moved Dawn Daniels out of the role of sergeant, administrative sergeant, guess who took the administrative sergeant's position? When Dawn Daniels, on November 1st, Dawn Daniels is now the assistant police chief. November 1st, 2 weeks before the murder. Curtis Whitman. Curtis Whitman becomes so how it will look is it was Bill Gardner's gone, Steve Hansen's gone, Mike Larson's gone. Gary Jenkins takes over. Dawn Daniels moves from being the sergeant, the administrative sergeant, to now she's the assistant police chief. And then Curtis Whitman, on November 1st, he now takes on the role that Dawn Daniels had, which was this sergeant, this administrative sergeant. And Vicki Murray is the person who did all of this. Victoria appointed Dawn Daniels acting chief before she brought in Gary. Then when she brought in Gary, Dawn Daniels was the vice or the assistant chief. And then this then opened up how Curtis Whitman then took over Dawn Daniels' role, which was the sergeant, administrative sergeant. Okay. Now, okay. So I did I don't even know how many hours of research on this. How they were able to prove that to be able to get this guy to lose his job, this whistleblowing shit, is the police covered up for that Matt Kirk's conduct by writing a letter and not entering it into his personnel file, as well as not allowing and letting the incident be told to WSU's HR department or the Title IX department. Okay. And there was a whistleblower, and it was a newer employee and potentially somebody that I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to be saying that. End of the day, when they did their investigation to look into this claim against this Matt dude, because he was having sex in the presidential suites at the football stadium, the basketball area, all that stuff when you're watching games, the library, different areas, the observatory. What they did is the WSU CCR investigation heavily relied on electronic card key access logs and swipe badge records. So, and what they were able to prove is that when this motherfucker was working, and they compared his active on-duty log to his swipe badge access pass. And so they were able to show that, yeah, you're claiming that you're on duty doing this, but really we have the log swipes, and here you are in the presidential suite fucking. Okay. So what I went ahead and did is I looked into seeing who was in charge of making all of these changes to this policy, because they decided to say, fuck you, WSU, you can't be trusted. And so we're going to implement reforms to the campus key card access after Matt Kirk's situation. They did an audit, and what they did is they removed this siloed policing that was just only monitored by the police. Okay. And part of this included badge data and facility access investigations are now subject to outside review by the CCR. Okay. So I then did a little research on Curtis James Whitman. I did research on who's running different things that's doing this, who's in charge of the campus safety police. And I came across, they have what you call an independent investigative team. It's out of Whitman County, and they take different members from different, if you have somebody that's on the WSU staff, like that's part of the police there, that's part of Pullman, and they create what they call as an independent investigative team. And it's basically like who watches the police. And I shit you not, Curtis Whitman is part of this. Okay. But then they also put on the this board, like this investigative team, they also put on a couple civilians. Okay. And the two civilian names, by the way, this happened because of the LETCSAI 940 shit, and it was passed by the voters in in Washington in 2018, and it was implemented in 2019. But this is all part of that. One of the two people that are part of this independent team that are the citizens, there's a woman by the name of, well, I'm going to leave her name off for right now because I have a couple FOIAs going through, and I need them to go through because I know everybody's watching my channel right now. Okay. So I'm going to leave these names off, but let me just tell you, this is the FOIA that I put in based on all of this research to be able to provide us with the material. Here it is. It says, Public Record Act request RCW 42.56 WSU Police Department Records, Curtis Whitman. To whom it may concern, pursuant to the Washington Public Records Act, I am requesting copies of the following identifiable public records maintained by Washington State University and the Washington State University Police Department. Number 1, the master personnel file for employee Curtis Whitman, excluding legally exempt private medical or financial records. Number 2, all internal affairs files, disciplinary records, citizen complaints, and completed misconduct investigation reports involving employee Curtis Whitman. Number 3, any commendations, performance evaluations, and active rank/promotion history log for employee Curtis Whitman. 4, any and all electronic key card, proxy card, or badge swipe access logs generated by or associated with Curtis Whitman for the dates of November 12, 2022 through November 13th, 2022. This request includes timestamps, reader locations, and building or room numbers for any university facilities accessed. Number 5, all automated vehicle location, AVL/GPS tracking logs, data points, or trip history reports for any assigned or operated WSU police fleet vehicle driven by Curtis Whitman during the dates of November 12, 2022 through November 13th, 2022. Number 6, the active duty logs, daily shift logs, dispatch records, activity sheets, or CAD computer aided dispatch logs reflecting the status, location, and assigned calls for Curtis Whitman during the dates of November 12, 2022 through November 13, 2022. As required by RCW 42.56.520, please provide an initial response within 5 business days. To minimize costs and environmental impact, please deliver these records in electronic format such as PDF or spreadsheet files directly to my email or through the university's online public request portal. If any portion of these requests is withheld under a specific legal exemption, please provide an itemized exemption log detailing the specific statutory exemptions being claimed for each redactions or withheld document. Thank you for your assistance with this matter. Now, last night I already filed off their clock in and clock out functionalities because when I saw that he was right here, he becomes part of this management team because he's doing this management meeting that he has from 7 to 8:30 on Tuesday, 11/22. What is this management meeting about? Well, what was going on 11/22 for Gary Jenkins? What was going on for University of Idaho? He got premium paid for it. And again, it was considered a management meeting. Now watch this. Then after his management meeting from 7 a.m. to 8:30, then he comes back for his, and I'm like, wait, Tuesday? He doesn't work Tuesdays. He works he does, because he's off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is correct. So then he comes back and he works his 9 to 7. Then Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. He does not normally work this shift. Day shift coverage, 11/25/2022. And now this is where, remember how I started us off by talking about 11/25/2022? Because I was talking about the reports about, it's really weird that he's dealing with all these going to mysterious buildings and, oh, we just need some extra check-ins here. And it's taking you 45 minutes to check to see if a building's secure. And how I know that it doesn't normally take that long is you're going to see in report 17 that it took him like 9 minutes. Okay. So this morning shift that he normally does not take on 11/25, he takes this morning shift on 11/25. Again, the day of the big be on the lookout. Okay. That it's always been publicized that, hey, we told people on 11/25, but then Big Gare came around and said, no, my guys did not know about it then. You're all full of shit. You are all full of shit. Why are you working Friday from 7 to 11? What are you doing? Day shift coverage. Why? Whose shift are you covering? We're going to find that out. Then 11/25. Then, hey, I'm going to work the basketball game. 11 to 3. So from 7 to 11, he's just working the day shift. But then, hey, I'm going to work the basketball shift from 11 to 3. Then I'm going to work, and I'm going to get premium pay for that. Then Friday's my normal night shift. But hey, I'm still going to work from 3 now to 9 because I'm going to do the swing shift. And Pullman Police Detective or Sergeant Love, he says that he was working the swing shift on 11/25 when he found Brian Kohberger's, like the way his report, not his report because he never wrote a report, but the way that his Excel spreadsheet lines up. He was working the swing shift for Pullman Police Department though. But guess what? WSU, Curtis Whitman's working the swing shift as well. And from 3 to 9. Then Friday night, he normally does not work. So we're just out bouncing around, you know, nobody knows why. So covering swing shifts here. He's covering daytime, covering swing shifts. Like, why? What are you doing? He's getting premium pays for all this shit. Then Saturday, he's supposed to be working at 9 p.m., but here, Saturday, he comes in at 4 p.m. and works 4 to 9. Well, what the fuck are you working 4 to 9 for? Well, I'm going to work the WSU football game. Okay. 4 to 9. Then what do you got? And this is where I said, wait, we have a problem. Right after this, it should show that he's working 12 a.m. to 7. And it doesn't show it. And what it should also show is that, oh, I'm sorry, here it is. Yes, it does show it. Do you know how many hours this is in a row? Saturday, 4 to 9, then 9 to 7. Then Sunday, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Monday, 9 to 7. Thursdays, he doesn't work. On December 1st, Thursday, December 1st, he did 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Well, that's really interesting. He's covering graves coverage, like the graveyard shift. 2 to 6. I would love to know what Brian Kohberger was doing from 12-1. I believe that Curtis Whitman was following Brian Kohberger all over. He normally works 4/10s. Okay. Then again, that's his 2 to 6 shift. I just showed you covering graves. Then Friday is his, he normally doesn't work. He's off Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. But Friday, here we go. He's going to work 10 p.m. to 6:45 a.m. He's working graves coverage and assisted Pullman Police Department. Do you see that? I said, I'm fucking, dude, I'm over here losing my shit, you guys, because I'm like, thank you. Yes, see, this is the type of shit that you'd be putting down. What are you assisting Pullman Police Department in? What are you assisting? What you doing? What you doing, fool? What the fuck is going on? When you're assisting Moscow Police Department, why aren't you putting it down? When you're going and finding cars that matter in a fucking huge, the biggest case in the country, in the world. Premium pay. Hours worked outside agency. Saturday, 9 to 7. So you have the 9 to 12 is like this, and then the 7 or the 12 to 7 is like that. So that's 12-3, goes into 12-4. Then again, this is on Sunday, 6 p.m. Normally you come in at 7, you work 9 to 7. So look at this. Sunday, December 4th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Covering swings. Your regular hours, see, 9 to 7. See, so he goes in 3 hours. I mean, he's just working like a man, right? Then Monday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Wait, I thought he doesn't work. Yeah, he doesn't work then, right? Check this out. Look at what they refuse to tell us on this day. This looks like it could be a meeting, right? On Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. Normally on that last one, it said I had a management meeting. And so when I was done with my 7, I went straight and I had that meeting. Well, look at this. 7 to 9 on Monday, December 5th, the day that they decided to do extra testing with that sheath or whatever the fuck they're doing, right? Well, 7 to 9, and he refuses to list the reasons why he's working these 2 hours from 7 to 9, which would seem like it was a management meeting. Swing shift is swings. Next, he comes in early on Monday. See this, 4 to 9 p.m. So he was free from 9 a.m. to 4 on that Monday. After he just worked his 10, then he goes and does a meeting for 2 hours or whatever the fuck he's doing. Who knows? But then from 4 to 9, he's covering swing coverage again. And then from Monday, look at this, 9 to 7, 17 hours plus the 10 and the 7. I mean, do you know how many hours this man just supposedly allegedly worked? And then I'm over here saying, okay, like there should be some like mega reports that this man has been doing, right? I mean, like, what does he do all day? Right? And I'm like, where are these reports? He doesn't write reports. This is typical government job culture. This is how police officers are racking up $300,000 a year in payroll per person. This is how, what I saw what those Canton officers were making in the Karen Reed case that were like these detectives and shit. And I'm just like, you guys are sick. Who could possibly perform, at their best when how do you possibly sleep and be able to function and be like, yeah, we got this. Like, you have to be able to be good at your job when you're there. Like, then 12, then Tuesday, just 7 a.m. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Refuses to say what that could be for on Tuesday morning. Again, because he's in these. Curtis Whitcomb now became a member, in my opinion, of these debriefing sessions. He's via Zoom. He's listening in. He's part of how Brett Payne was talking about how they have their debriefing sessions in the morning and at night. This to me is almost proving that. And so how can you sit here and say that Curtis Whitcomb did not tell Officer Payne and he had no idea of the vehicles that he found and when he found them? And I had no idea. He never told me anything about that. We had no idea. You guys, this is a campus police department that was running amok, doing crazy ass things. The people that were all there, like the leadership was poor. Clearly people were just running on. So we're supposed to think that Curtis Whitman, who came from the leadership of the fucking corrupt, sexual, perverted fuckland people, okay? That he was around there in that culture. And people that are acting like they're working when they're not and getting paid. What is he doing from 7 to 8? Why he has to stop writing it down, what he's doing? He wrote it the one time management meeting. Now we're not saying what we're doing from 7 to 8 here, just like on the last one when it was 7 to 9. Dude, those are briefing sessions. What are you meeting for? What are you talking about? Well, I became management. I wasn't management before because Lana figured it out that November 1st, my role changed. Yeah, Lana did figure it out. And you became an administrative sergeant, which means you have access to a lot of things. Don't you, Curtis? An administrative sergeant has access to a lot of things. Also, an administrative sergeant, that means you're not a patrolman. So what are you out doing and driving around and doing? So on Tuesday, then he shows up for his 9 to 7. Curtis Whitman is a sex assault investigator. Again, he's used to preserving DNA on bra clasps that are the size of nothing. Okay, so your clasps, that's your bra clasps. Friday, well, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. SART presentation on December 9th at 6 to 7 p.m. What's that? Then again, 9 to 12, then 12 to 7. And then Sunday, 9 p.m. to 7 a. Monday, Tuesday, same thing, like normal. Then we get into some fuckerage again. Ooh, what's Thursday? Ooh, 12:15. Callback hours. Ready for this? What do you think happens on 12/15, 2022? The Brian Kapaka situation. Curtis Whitman. Again, he doesn't work on Thursdays, but it's interesting. He's calling it callback hours, and he has 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. Call out for incident. Straight time, callback, WFSE/IUOE. It's outside of your schedule, so you're getting premium pay. You're getting then Friday, 12/16/2022, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. You normally do not work 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and you covered graves. Why? 12/16/2022. And then look at this. You guys remember when Brian Kohberger is just leaving town and driving with his dad? Well, God, how ironic is it that Curtis Whitman takes annual leave at the same time? Can't make this shit up. 12. So he never works Fridays. So here, 2 to 6, he's saying he worked. And he was covering the graves. Then 12/17, I'm taking, he writes down annual leave. Sunday, annual leave, right? Who takes annual leave for just 2 days? Sunday. Then returns back for Sunday night to work, allegedly 9 to 7. Then Monday, compensatory time off, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So he needs to take 2 hours of comp time so he doesn't come in on 12/19. The day that they claim that we found out about Brian Kohberger's name. 2 hours. Then Monday, Instead of work, going into work at 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., he gets there at 11. Then Tuesday he works his 9 to 7. Then he's off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then Saturday, sick leave, 12/24. Who's taking sick leave on Christmas Eve? Well, remember what they're doing over there in Pennsylvania. They're watching him at his parents. So he's doing Sunday. Then on Christmas Day, again, sick leave. And then on Sunday night of Christmas, 9 p.m. to 6 a. He doesn't work all the way to 7. He chips out an hour early. And claims that hour here for sick leave. Then he's back to, like I said, having this Monday, sick leave from 6 to 7. Then his normal Monday night shift, he's claiming sick leave from, the 9 to 7A, sick. Then Tuesday night, again, sick. And then he's back to work after the arrest of Brian Kohberger. Now, who wants to fuck? Then I think there's one other thing. Sunday 1/1. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. He normally does not work because he's done working at 7 a.m. But he did convert overtime to comp time off. Comment. Covered 1 hour of days. And there you have it. That's your November and December schedule for Curtis Whitman, and what appears to be that he would have had 5 consecutive days after he leaves work at supposedly 4:30 on 11/13. I think he left way earlier. We're going to find out. And then these are all the reports that when you go through these, you see that he can write reports. He knows when to write them when he's assisting other agencies. And there is no report in here on how he was assisting Moscow Police Department in trying to find the white Hyundai Elantra. And that, my friends, is a huge fucking problem for them. Okay, that is out of the norm. That is not what you're supposed to do. It's one thing not to put something over the radio because that would tell me that you believe that this person's in law enforcement. So we don't want you talking over the radios. Okay. But to literally not write up a report and what you're assisting in and when you found something. And again, I got to go back to how did you know that when you're writing in the probable cause affidavit, you have to ask this question. How did you know you found Brian Kohberger's vehicle at 12:58? How are you documenting that? How are you, would you have a piece of paper out with a pad and you're just like driving around? And then you just said to yourself, oh, hey, yeah, I'm going to write, it's 12:58. And since you did not write up a report, how did Officer Payne come to know that you did this at 12:58? When did y'all talk? For you to say, hey, yeah, when I found that car, it was like 12:58 on 11/29. Yeah, go ahead, go with that. Or does it just seem like you're just taking one for the team and we're going to write this down and this down, and we're going to say that you did this, and are you cool with that? And however we're going to go about all that. You want me to show you how lazy this man is? He pulls over a guy who's driving on Airport Road, and this guy, two women get out of the vehicle at the airport terminal. This Curtis Whitman claims that this guy was going like 50 and a 35, and then when he gets to him, he claims the guy had like, a little bit of red in his eyes. He claimed that he could smell a little bit of alcohol. And he just says to him, hey, why didn't you pull over when I first put my lights on? Like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I didn't think it was safe on that road because it was so narrow. Airport Road, so narrow. Okay. Oh, here's another one. See? Assisting outside agency, Pullman PD. On 11/27. What are you assisting them for? Oh, yeah. This is actually an important one. Another one of these building searches where there was nobody in it. And so you're meeting up with Pullman Police Department basically to have a conversation. So take a look at this. So from 4:56 in the morning until 6:11 a.m. 4:56. So that's all of 5 o'clock, 11 minutes of 6. So you're at least, you got an hour and like 16 minutes here. And it was assisting outside agency. This was the call. This is the address. And they show up there, and it's Curtis Whitman, Alex Gordon. Alex Gordon was part of the Bryant Kapaka situation. And those two guys. So he meets up with them, and it was right here at about 4:56. Pullman PD requested assistance with a building search of an unsecured building. I responded and assisted with clearing the building. No one was found inside. Completed without incident. Okay, check this out. On 11/28, Mount Vernon, Washington. Do you guys know? Does that ring a bell? Let's see who says it first in chat. Well, somebody calls on a gray 2010 Volvo SUV. Okay. And Curtis Whitman this is on again on 11/28/2022. At approximately 11:46, I responded to the visitors parking area of the Chinook Apartments, 710 Southeast, right here, in reference to a suspicious vehicle. The reporting party reported the vehicle had been parked, running, and had headlights on for a very long time. I arrived and located the vehicle. I ran the plate. I approached the vehicle and contacted a male in the driver's seat. I advised him why I was called, and he understood. I asked him what he was doing, and he said, waiting to pick up a friend. I asked him if everything was okay, and he said yes. Due to no crime being committed and nothing suspicious happening, I did not identify the driver. I contacted the reporting party and advised what I had found. Vehicle is attached. Okay. Well, the car's from Mount Vernon, and this is agency WCSO Whitman County Sheriff. What? Like, what is all this shit? This is the owner of the car. And then who the fuck is this? Anyways. People were just starting fires in the parking lots. Really ridiculous. Where does he get to this one? We're just like following this guy. Shit. Oh. Not that one. Not that one. That one. That one. Okay, here, take a look at this one. 12/3/2022. So this is like, this is when see all these names? Those are all names that are Pullman Police Department. Welfare check, assist agency, okay? All those names, Gordon, Humphrey, Whitman, Kirshner, like, what? Well, this is why. So he gets a telephone call. Curtis Whitman. And what is he going to go do? Well, on 12/3 at about 5:18 hours, Pullman PD was dispatched to a welfare check on a driver at Mobile. Like, what? Sergeant Gordon responded, but the vehicle had already left. He located the vehicle and attempted a traffic stop. The vehicle continued. Once stopped, the driver fled the vehicle and went toward a nearby house. Pullman officer believed him to be in the house and set up a perimeter. The requested we respond to assist. Now, this is when I lost my mind. I said, oh my God, these people are all jacked up and want to, like, it's like almost like the Kelsey Fitzsimmons thing again, when, I mean, come on, when are we going to shoot? Like, we got to be in a situation where we can, like, shoot. So 2 weeks before, not even before Brent Kapaka's situation, this is what happened 2 weeks before that. And this was Officer Frostberry and I responded and assisted. He's normally not working this shift. Because what day was it? I thought it was one of the days that he isn't on. Anyways, he writes up a report, though, clearly because he goes and he does something, right? Just like, why aren't you writing up a report with the Elantra or anything that you're doing to assist in that capacity? So officer and I responded and assisted. A subject that remained in the vehicle was taken into custody for warrants. So whoever was in the vehicle had warrants out for them. We don't know the names. I'm going to go get the body worn camera now. The subject emerged from the house while we were waiting from additional resources. He was ordered to the ground and handcuffed without incident. WSU units cleared. See PPD case for additional details. And we're going to go get all this. Don't worry. But it's like, That's at the 770 North Grand Ave. Well, I said, well, mobile gas station. I said, oh man, all these mobile gas stations. I said, did you go get where's the cameras from the mobile gas station, right? Because I was like, why did they call in the first place? Well, on December 4th, at approximately 12:51, I responded to the residents in lobby in reference to a female having an asthma attack and breathing issues. What? Look at this. I went to room 322 and contacted the female. First, Nika. Unknown further. Nika said she was visiting town and forgot one of her breathing machines. She said she was probably being impacted by the cold temperatures. Nika was taking shallow breaths while speaking to me, and she did not seem confused or lightheaded. I advised EMS of the patient update and told her that, I'll wait for them to get here. EMS arrived and took over her care. I did not get further information for Nika, and she is not she is not attached. Why would you be attaching a human being? Look at this idiot. And Nika is not attached here. Who is this? Who's this guy? This Fosberg? This is who goes on all these calls with Curtis Whitman. Curtis, you're training these people? Like, we have no idea who this woman is, no last name, no nothing, and nothing is attached. But then the way that he writes it is that he didn't attach Nika the human to this. I mean, come on. What is this? Like, what is this? Nika. Like, no idea what happened. For all we know, Nika's probably important. She's probably CI. Who knows? Curtis Whitman, see how he's always with this man? There was a 911 call. It says, jeez. Oh, listen to this. So now I guess a little bit after that, I responded to the Regents Hall in reference to an unconscious female in a bathtub on the 3rd floor. Upon arrival, I located the female and saw that the stall door was locked. I looked in through the space in the door jamb and saw one female sitting in a bathtub full of water. What? You guys, what kind of hall is this? Because we didn't take baths in college. Like, you'd be crazy if you didn't take your shower with your like slippers on, like your slides on. Where is she taking this bath at? Why is she sitting in a bath? I don't think I never took a bath in college because when we lived at my house, like, bath? What are you fucking talking about? Who's taking baths? I looked in through the space in the door jamb and saw one female sitting in a bathtub full of water, and the water was still running. The female was sitting up, but I could not see her head. I pounded on the stall door and yelled for her attention. The female woke up and I instructed her to turn off the water. I asked her to get dressed and come talk to me. The female stepped out and identified herself to me as Cassidy. I asked if she was okay, and she said yes. I explained why I was there and asked how much alcohol she drank. Price said that she was intoxicated. I asked multiple questions to determine her ability to care for herself, and she answered all of them correctly. Price was not visibly impaired, and I advised dispatch they canceled EMS. I asked Price if she had a roommate, and she said no. Price said she lived in this room, and I escorted her back to her room. Price thanked me multiple times and apologized. Then who fucking called? Who called the police? And where is this bathroom? What is going on here? You guys, you're going to sit here and tell me that she was taking a bath in a public showering stall in a dorm room, like in a dorm facility? You got to be kidding me, right? Nobody would ever do that. That is absolutely the most disgusting thing I'm going to barf right now. Okay. That's crazy. Oh. Oh, God. Okay. We're moving on. He must have passed it when he wants to talk about this guy drinking. And anyways, yeah, sweetness. All right, so what do you guys think? Just remember, Curtis Whitman, I saw that Moscow PD was receiving a call about a suspicious individual at the University Inn. How did you see that? How would you see that in real time? Like, what are you doing, Mr. Whitman? What are you doing? Okay. Dorms don't have tubs. I know, it's just all wild shit. Anyways, just thought you guys should see some of those. And I quadruple checked again. Here it is. When Curtis Whitman says the reason that he left at 4:30 a.m. on 11/13, to not finish out his shift, he said, this was his comment. And I'm going to read your guys' supers right here. He said, football took off after game. Well, that football game was at 12:30 in the afternoon. It was over by 4. And I personally believe that Curtis Whitman thought that if somebody was to ever look at this, maybe they would think by looking at it quickly that they would not realize that it says 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. and they would think that it's 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. and then it would then coincide with the football took off after the game. This is not only factually, this is false. You could not take off after a football game. The football game was over before this man ever went to work that day, which was on 11/12. He goes to work at 9 p.m. That game was over by at least 5 hours. Okay. He does not go to work until 9 p.m. and he's supposed to work from 9 p.m. until 7. This is the night of the murder. Okay. This is what everybody needs to focus on. What you want to talk about anomalies? You want to talk about, so go find me where Curtis Whitman is checking out of work at 4:30 and lying about it. And we're going to go back I'm going to ask for the whole year that he's lying about why he could potentially have left. He didn't work the football game, you guys. The football game was at 12:30. And it's not like there's a punch-in card clock that it's like by him saying that he only wants to count at 4:30 this comp time, for all we know, he could have left work at 2. That's why the badge swipes are so important. What time is his last time entering or leaving the when's his last activity log? When's the last time he does anything? And I went through. Well, actually, now I'm going to pull all of his stuff for 11/13, 11/12, 11/13 to see what any calls that he would have taken. So this is what needs to be talked about. The guy that found Brian Kohberger's vehicle, the guy that's taking all this weird time off on all these weird occasions of when things are popping off in this case, The guy that doesn't make a police report, doesn't say anything that he's doing to help and assist Moscow Police Department in anything to do with the case. Okay. And it's almost like I don't know. Wild shit. Mandy became a member. Thank you so much, Mandy. Welcome. Karen became a member. Corey, keep crushing it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Woo woo. I'm busted. 35 months. You guys, things. It's all lies. It's all fucking lies. And guess who's lying? The cops are lying. The cops are lying about their whereabouts during a fucking murder. During a murder. And the same guy that would eventually find Brian Kohberger's car, the same guy that has no problem about a PCA lying about him finding this car, Gary Jenkins saying, we didn't even know about looking for a vehicle like that. My guys found it so quickly, and it's making us look like that we didn't find it for like a couple of days. We found it within 16 hours. These are the lies that Gary wants to push. Curtis Whitman, part of the old regime. Curtis Whitman lying about, I took off after the football game. I took off after the football game. What? I want to know when he put the comment in. I want the timestamp of the comment. When did he enter that comment? I don't believe that this comment was entered like on 11/13 or anything like that. I want to see when that was entered. Again, these aren't punch in, punch out clocks. That's not what we're dealing with here. Oh, is that Witten Kitten? Lana, you have a beautiful mind. Thank you. Thank you. Some type of, wow, what a joke. I know. Remember for 4 months, Mud Lover Lori. What a name. Mud Lovin' Lori. Love it. Love the mud. Kay Schmidt in the house. What is up? Woo woo. 5 memberships going out. Gigi Butler. Thank you so much for your super sticker. Witten Kitten, thank you so much for your super sticker. Lala. Super sticker. And then Phantom 671567. New member. Well. So the FBI and Brian Kohberger's phone, close out with this right here. It's all a bunch of bullshit. They were not supposed to extract anything, do anything with just a seizure of a device. And they are allowed to, in order to preserve data and stuff like that, like you can do things. But from my understanding, which we're going to keep on digging into, Jeffrey Tanzola, go listen to him when he talks about what he did with the Cellbrite people. But this, we're talking about an external hard drive that had Brian Kohberger's image of his phone, and that's what got into the hands of Dateline. Well, that was made in Philadelphia. And how many, because like they're not allowed to, there would have had to be multiple copies made, because if Jeffrey Tanzola is working on it and he gets the Barnharts involved in March, they're not allowed to work off of the device, right? And so what copies are we working? How many copies of Brian Kohberger's phone were made? And this was after the gag order on the 3rd, but when they downloaded the phone, it would have been before the gag order. I believe the non-dissemination order. Go take a look at that date. But regardless, you did everything and anything before you had a search warrant to actually physically search and that's what Maury was asked on the stand. That, like, how did you get Brian Kohberger's phone? And that was at the suppression hearing. And he's testifying to, well, we didn't search it. The FBI, sent it to us. How'd you get it? Was it sent to you? How'd you get it? There's two different answers for that. And then why'd you serve a search warrant to search if there was already a search warrant to search why'd you have to get another search warrant to search in the USB, like the external hard drive? I was on an abundance of caution. Oh, it was. Dude, the feds got into the phone again, because that's what you have to ask yourself when you're writing this shit up. On 1/10/2023, how did you already know this? How were you able to know all about his emails and shit like that? Who gave you that information? The feds. And the reason that it had to be a big secret is because they weren't supposed to be looking in that phone, and they were. There was no search warrant. That's my understanding. And I just don't think that Ann Taylor did a good job explaining it. Clearly she didn't. They lost. I understand the explanations that Shanna Gardner's team gives. I mean, did you see a difference in the way that Shanna Gardner's lawyer argued the stuff about the devices? And then she's talking about the fact that you didn't have to, when you extracted this, you could have just left these in these folders and then waited till you got more and more search warrants. You just don't get full reign of all this shit, right? Like, it was just way different. So where was Dean? Dean had a good question. Let's see. Dean. Feds had that phone in the first 15 minutes of his swatting. Yeah, they got it right away. More to come. Oh, I think 1000% they had the phone. And then the other thing is then you have this extraction. Like Maury had this external hard drive, right? So all you have to do is drag over the folders from the one external hard drive, plug in another one, and then you can copy it. And then this motherfucker is just reproducing itself. I mean, who else, Maury, when you got that, who you didn't give a copy of that to anybody? No. And Jeff Tanzola. So the only people that should have had copies, what, did Jeff Tanzola keep one? Because how was he able to work on anything? If the Fed's only job was to extract the data and then send that material, then how was Jeff Tanzola and the Barnharts, what are they working off of? Can somebody please explain that? All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much. Run it back, speed me up, do whatever you want. This is some crazy shit, though. This is some crazy shit. And Ethan's dick was not cut off in any way, shape, or form. I double-checked with 4 sources last night. Ridiculous to even talk about it. Move on to the next topic. See you on the next one.